My klepto sister stole my phone, so I stole something intimate from her. Many years ago, when I was 17 years old, I graduated from high school and moved into my mom's house where my other siblings lived, including my 15-year-old sister, Nicole. I was what you might call a loser. I worked at a buffet and I had a pay-as-you-go phone so I could call my mom to pick me up at the end of my shift. Nicole, on the other hand, had her own cell phone that she paid for. She had worked from a young age and she spent a lot of money. She was a cool kid and would go out late at night with friends. My sister, at one point, was grounded from her phone by my mom and stepdad. She went into my room and stole my pay-as-you-go phone and drained it out over the course of the few days she was actually grounded. I didn't even notice until it didn't function one day after work. She had used hundreds of minutes. I felt so violated because I even went as far as to hide my phone and she still found it. Around that same time, I noticed that my change jar was much emptier than it had been and that loose cash from around the room was missing as well. Around $200 all in all. This girl was robbing me. I wasn't the only person she was robbing. She had gotten caught stealing clothes from name brand stores at the mall. She was on juvenile probation. I wanted to get even. One day, when she wasn't home, I walked into her room and grabbed an important-looking box from her closet. It was full of women's panties. I paused, shrugged, and took it anyway. The box was pretty full. I couldn't help but notice how much lace there was. I found out years later that my sister was sleeping around at this age. Heck, I'm no expert, but there were probably in excess of 40 pairs in that box. I took the box straight to the backyard and stuck it under an old canoe. I had never seen that canoe used and it was now a fixture of the backyard. Nicole was furious. I could hear her on the phone accusing her friends of stealing her underwear. She only had the pair that she was wearing and now she was broke. The loss of her underwear drove her up the wall for weeks. I'd never seen her so on edge. I learned yesterday that she would have to clean out her last pair almost every day and that my mom refused to help her in any way because she didn't trust her friends and thought this would be a lesson to her on who to let inside our house. Eventually, I became a suspect. In hindsight, I was probably low on the list of suspects and she was desperate. I shouldn't have said anything at all. Instead, I said, "Gee, that must really suck to have someone steal from your room. I can't even imagine." We locked eyes. She knew. I knew she knew. She knew that I knew that she knew. I gave her back her box. She stopped stealing from my room. We lived out the next year together in relative harmony.